in context of Nepal, there is concept of, or I think this happens in Southeast Asian countries, that there is a concept of evergreening of the loan, right? It means that, so for example, there is a borrower, okay, and he has taken loan from a bank, and it has now become a overdue, right? But he has no money to pay that loan. So what he will do is he will come to the bank and will come to the bank or branch and ask branch manager that he doesn't have money to pay the loan, right? And he cannot pay in any case. So branch manager is really scared, because if that client defaults on the loan, that loan has to be categorized as a loss, or provision has to be made against that loan, and which will be the loss to the financial institution. So what they will do is they will create a fictitious transaction, meaning that they will show in the paper only, right, that this customer has deposited the money, right, and settled the loan, and on the basis of that, new loan was provided to that customer, and the loan was dispersed on the same day, right? So you got the point. So there will be the simultaneously deposit of the loan amount and subsequently withdrawal of the amount, right? So the debit and credit transaction will be nullified. And the beauty of that is the loan will be shown in the system as a settled, and new loan is created on the basis of the by settling previous loan, and in the also cash vault, right? There will be no effect, right? Because the actual cash has not been, physical cash has not been handover or takeover, right? So there is no involvement of physical cash. So the cash vault also remain same, right? There is no any changes in the physical amount. So this is known as evergreening of the loan, right? Because the loan will never overdue, right? So as a result, bank and financial institution doesn't have to make a provision for that loan. Now, my question to you is how you are going to identify this kind of transaction if it is happening in your organization. So, any suggestion? You can also put your comment in the chat box. How you are going to identify this kind of transaction, okay, if it is happening in your organization. So I want to get input from you, insight from you. So someone has written here, checking for the same debit and credit transaction. There will be no issue with the transaction because these are recorded in the system, and this will be balanced out. Okay, so there won't be any suspense account there. Everything will look fine in records. Any other suggestion? New account opening. So new account will not be opened here, right? It's the same account, and the transaction is done in the same account, right? And there will be the simultaneously debit and credit, or you say deposit and withdraw. Let me write the ChatGPT prompt, and you will understand. You will understand how to identify this kind of transaction. So please give me the list of transaction which are done within the interval of 1 or 2 minutes. So can somebody give me the rationale of this prompting or this question? Why I am asking this question to ChatGPT? I think you have all understood the scenario, right? So see, when you are doing fictitious transaction, there is no involvement of cash, right? It is just entry in the system, and Taylor can do it within 1 or 2 minutes. Had there been any involvement of physical cash, it will take like more than 5 minutes. Like so, there would be the physical presence of the the borrower. You will give you the amount, and the teller has to take that amount, count that money, and then verify that amount in the deposit transaction slips, right? And then only he will, or he or she will enter that transaction in the system. So these things are not happening here, right? There is no physical presence of borrower, and there is no involvement of physical cash. Only the transactions are being entered in the system, and anyone can enter the transaction in within 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, it doesn't take time. Okay, let's see the result. Okay, so it is analyzing. So it depends upon the how much data you have in the Excel sheet. If there is a lot of data, it is going to take some time, right? So it is asking if you would like this data in the downloadable format. So let's write yes. Okay, let's look at this Excel sheet. Okay. Okay. So this was the account. You can see, right, the transaction date here. That all the transactions are done in the same day, right? And it is done within the interval of 1 or 2 minutes, right? So if you let's say sort this transaction, and then you can see it clearly. So first transaction is in 12:30, then second is in 31, right? And then another transaction are done within the interval of 1 minutes or 1 to 2 minutes. So this is the red flag of that kind of transaction. So by this way, you can identify those kind of fictitious transaction if it is happening in your organization. Okay, I hope by now you have understood this scenario. Okay. Okay, now the last last prompt that we'll do here is will identify those customers who are doing threshold transaction. So I believe most of you know what is the threshold transaction, why it is considered suspicious. Okay, so I kind of confused about where I have placed my camera. So I'm looking at that screen, thinking that camera is over there. So anyway, uh, so let's identify whether there is a threshold transaction in this Excel sheet or not, right? I mean structuring. Okay, in Nepal, threshold amount is 1 million, and criminals usually, when they have to perform the transaction, they usually perform the transaction below 1 million, right? To avoid reporting requirements. Let's ask ChatGPT if there are such kind of transaction or not. So please list out those customer. Okay, I will upload the same file again. Okay, just to be safe here. So please list out those customers who have performed transaction between 8 lakh 8 lakh to 10 lakh, or between 8 lakh and below 1 million. Okay, below 1 million. for more than 7 times in a single day. Okay. Because one and two transaction under threshold can happen. Okay, that may be one time, or it might have some kind of genuine purpose. So more than 7 times, the transaction which is just below the threshold, then that becomes suspicious. Okay, let's see if the chat gpt is able to identify that kind of transactions or not. Okay, so it has identified, I think, one transaction. Okay, so let's generate the Excel sheet for that. Yes. Okay. So this company has done, the transaction count. You can see the transaction count here. It is 15, 8, 18 times, right? And it has also mentioned the day. This company has done more than 15 transactions, which was below threshold. So in this way, ChatGPT has successfully identified those accounts. Now you can investigate this account whether these transactions are suspicious or not. Our another part of webinar is still left, right? We'll talk about data visualization through ChatGPT. And before that, I want to tell you that why I am doing this. Okay. See, I want to tell you my story and my reason for conducting this webinar. You know, like 2-3 years back, we had a regulatory inspection in my previous bank where I was working, and I had a very terrible experience because regulator came, and not because the regulatory came, okay, or we had a regulatory inspection. When they came and they looked at our AML safety program, they found a lot of issues in our transaction monitoring area, right? And it was really terrible. And they even threatened to fine us. And uh, I I had to explain, give explanation to management in writing. After that experience, I thought, I promised that this won't happen again. So I worked hard. I referred to a lot of books, materials. I also studied new technology like artificial intelligence, data science, right? And developed my own tools in my organization for transaction monitoring. And so, so 1 month back, right? There was again a regulatory inspection, and in that inspection they were not able to find any single issues, right? In transaction monitoring area there were minor issues they identify in the KYC and CDD area, but in transaction monitoring area there was no any issues, right? uh, they even said that if we had not filed one STR, right, they would have penalized us, right? But we were able to detect that account, suspicious account, and was able to file that STR. And I think I have seen that account name or customer name being mentioned in recent news articles. Okay, they were involved in gold smuggling and hundi and hawala system. So we were able to identify that. And another plus point they really appreciated was that the number of STR, right, was our STR that our organization generated was more than industry average. This experience taught me a lot. Previously, I was a coordinator in a AML safety core committee of Nepal Banker Association. So for those who don't know what a Nepal Banker Association is, that Nepal Banker Association is an umbrella organization of commercial banks in Nepal. Okay, its main objective is to protect the interest of commercial banks in Nepal and promote banking sector. So whenever I went to that meeting in that Nepal Banker Association, I used to interact with a lot of AML safety head, compliance head, and they were always always in kind of a fear, right? And whenever I talked about regulatory inspection, their face showed some kind of fear. Okay, and they were always scared that the regulatory body will find something, or they have to face severe consequences, because in Nepal, when there is some kind of issues in a regulatory inspection, that bank is penalized. Okay, now regulatory bodies are not giving any excuses to the bank, so they were always in the fear, right? But I believe that whenever there is a regulatory inspection in your organization, you should be able to directly look into their eyes and have a meaningful conversation with them. Obviously they are guardian, right? And they will penalize you for mistakes. Okay, and when bank makes a mistake, it is not just a mistake that is limited within the scope of bank. Okay, it will impact the whole economy of the country. Let's say, for example, if you let some criminal loose, okay, if you are not able to catch the criminal in time, he does some criminal activities that affect a lot of people, then obviously bank has to take the blame for it. And I believe the regulator is right in that aspect. This experience taught me a lot, and I believe that my system works also, right? So after that, I left my job from my previous bank, and I made my mission to help individuals, AML safety professional and organization to improve their AML safety program. So in line with this, I'm also taking live classes or helping individuals to master transaction monitoring. So let me share you my live classes link. So this class will run from coming Sunday. Okay, so it's kind of a boot camp for 4 days only, and every day 1.5 hour, right? So uh, in this live class, I will teach you everything about transaction monitoring from A to Z. Okay, so we'll discuss about what is the transaction monitoring process, how do you set different kind of scenario, how to set threshold by using statistical tools, and what are the different artificial intelligence tools that can be applied to leverage your transaction monitoring. So everything will be covered in that course. You will not only enhance your knowledge, but you will also improve your career prospect also.